Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vassell and Sam Healy.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
Sam Healy, welcome.
Today we're taking a look at a game called Junk Orbit, which, if you spin the top, doesn't match. If you're OCD, this is going to really bug you because you got.
Even if you're not OCD, it's unsettling at best.
Yeah, so this breaks one of the rules, I think, of games. This stupid box thing, I guess.
I guess so.
But maybe there's round pieces in here that fit exactly inside.
Nope.
Oh.
Well, I mean, the rulebook fits around the outside of the inside of the box.
So the theme of this game is you are in space and you are a junk hauler picking up junk.
Interesting.
Show us how it plays.
So here I have set up for you a 3-player game of Junk Orbit. Now the board will change as you go upwards in player count. This is for 2 to 3 players. If you wanted to use 4 players, you would add the Phobos tile right here next to Bradbury, denoted by the squares. And then if you wanted to go to 5 players, that would stay in, and then you would also add in this triangular one, and of course more spots will come open on these other sides of these boards. So the board does change as you go up in player count. Just wanted to let you know that. Now the general idea of Junk Orbit is to score the most points, and you're going to score points based upon the value rather of each of these junk tiles that are out there after you have delivered them. So if I deliver this one to Solis Lakis, then it's going to come over into my deliveries category here, and then at the end of the game, however many points I have on my delivery tiles, that's the points that I will have. And if there is a tie for the most, then whoever has delivered the most junk tiles out of those that are tied, that person would be the ultimate winner. Now the game will end when one of these 3 stacks of tiles is completely depleted, and then everybody gets one more turn, and then final scoring happens. Now on your turn, you're going to do exactly 3 things. You're going to launch junk from your cargo bay into orbit around these different orbits here. Then you're going to move your ship in the opposite direction that you launched the junk from your cargo bay. And then you're also going to pick up junk at the destination wherever you end your movement. So let's say that Space Cowboy is the first person to go here. He's going to take this piece of generic junk and launch it 1 space, denoted by the 1 that's on the tile. You always have to move a number of spaces according to the value of the tile, but you can choose what direction it goes in. He's going to choose this direction, and he's going to stop there at Tycho, and then a couple of things will happen. If this junk tile matches the destination, then that is called a remote delivery, and you'd be able to place it into your delivery pile immediately. But if it isn't, it just stays there. Additionally, if there is another person already there at that destination where you launched junk to, then they will have to lose a piece of junk from their cargo bay as taking damage, so to speak. But if none of those other conditions are present, then now you move on to your move ship phase, where now you're going to move in the opposite direction, but the same number of spaces. So my junk only passed 1 space, so now I'm going to come over here and go to Johnson. Now, what happens here is if I have any junk that is in my cargo bay that matches the location where I'm at, I can make a direct delivery. So this will be able to be flipped over, and now it is part of my deliveries, and it will score me points at the end of the game. And then finally, at the end of my turn, any junk that is here at the location will be picked up and added to my cargo bay, and then refilled from the stack that is here. And then on Time Booth's turn, they're going to launch a 2 this way, 1, 2, to land right here at Olympus. And now it is Time Booth's time to move. So since he launched that piece of generic junk that way too, he's going to move this way too. So 1, 2. These spots, denoted by stars, are juncture points in the orbits. So whenever you reach this, if you have more movement, you can continue to follow the Earth's orbit, or you can continue to follow the moon's orbit like this. It is your choice. What you can't do, except for the ship that does have a special ability that allows you to do this, like the time booth, you can actually bounce and go around the orbit this way instead of having to follow the regular gravitational orbit. But since we stopped here on Kilimanjaro, we do have a ability to make a direct delivery, so that will be flipped over there, and then we pick up the junk that is at Kilimanjaro and add it to our pile, thus refilling like so. Now on Century Fly's turn, they're going to launch this generic junk one space over this way, and then they're going to move one this way in the opposite direction, and then they'll deliver here at Johnson, which allows them to turn that over, and then they'll pick up this. So now we come back to Space Cowboy, and they're going to first of all launch this 4 in this direction, 1, 2, 3, 4. And put it right over here, just a couple spaces. We just missed being able to do a remote delivery that way. But now we get to move the opposite direction in 4, so that will be 1, 2, 3, 4 to Solis Lachus. And I do have a ability to make a general delivery there, a direct delivery there, so I get to turn that over. And then I'll be able to refill from that spot, and this goes out there as well. And that's generally how the game continues until, like I said earlier, one of these 3 stacks is completely depleted, and then each person will get one more turn, and then after that is completed, everybody counts up their points, the values of the tiles that they have scored, and whoever has the most points from those values is the winner. If there's a tie, whoever has delivered the most junk tiles is the winner. And that's how you play Junk Orbit.
You know, I have to say, when I first got it, I was like, man, the theme didn't really attract me too much.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's okay, but it doesn't reach out and grab you, that's for sure. Artwork's nice, though.
The theme doesn't actually, oh yeah, and we were actually laughing about what the stuff means. Like, you said this is on here, that's a leg from Star Wars.
That's a AT-AT and AT-AT leg right there.
There's a cat floating around. There's all sorts of stuff. And so, there's that little bit of humor. But once you start playing the game, this is a sheer abstract style game. Absolutely. In fact, it reminds me, it's not exactly like Mancala, but it has that same kind of feel to me, where you're counting spaces to see what you can do.
Right.
So what are your initial impressions here of the game?
Well, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's if we're going to classify it as an abstract game, which I don't think is wrong to do so. As abstract games go, I think it's pretty good. It's fun. There is only a few rules to go over, and then you're ready to go, pretty much. Which I like. I like when games do that. And then the depth of the game is not necessarily found in the rules; it's found in the gameplay. After you've already learned the few rules, and now the decisions that you have to make and what's going to be optimal is really based largely upon your decision, not on making sure that you can do this mechanism and this mechanism at the same time. I like it when games do that. So I enjoyed it. I don't know that it's going to be one that I'm going to always gravitate towards. See what I did there?
Well, the thing I like is that the decisions that you make are pretty simple.
Yeah.
You only have a few pieces of junk, so those are the distances you move. So you're sitting there going, can I send a junk to its location? Probably not. Not unless you set yourself up for that.
Right.
Then if I can't, can I shoot myself to that thing by going in opposite direction? And so on the basis, those are your options, or pick this up to deliver it. But if you sit there and say, okay, I need to be as economical as I can, because that's the only way you're going to win.
Yeah.
So I need to move here, to go here, to do this. Maybe I can deliver 2 pieces at the same time. And I feel like the game has easy decisions, except if you think about it, they're not as easy. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes.
This game also has the 2 settings, the simple and the hard, and this is one of the few times, usually I gravitate towards the more rules, but these extra rules were just all scoring rules.
Yeah, that's
they're
true.
Fine, but
they don't really add anything to the gameplay. They just add to how you score. And they
add to, should I get a whole bunch from one planet? Fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's about it. So, but again, it doesn't add to how you play the game. It just provides a differentiation for scores. But yeah, I don't think it's the advanced rules, so to speak, are really not necessary. The base game is just fine.
Another thing I thought was surprising is when I found out that there were powers that let you have extra cool things to do, and powers that you could mess with the other players.
Right.
I thought the messing with the other players' powers would be the ones I would not like, because I don't really like that in this kind of game, but it worked really well.
Yeah, it's light and fun enough to where it doesn't really, you don't really mess with other people a whole lot. Now, you do have a couple of those abilities which will, like I think the second game we played, I had a ship that would damage you whenever you damaged me, and then if I damaged you, it would do 2 damage to you instead of just 1. But then another person had a ship where they always damage anybody no matter what they were doing.
And if you damaged me, I got to keep the thing you threw at me, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So those are cool. I like the variable player powers, I guess, if you want to stretch and make it that. I like it when games do that, because it makes you feel different than other people.
I'm not 100% they're all balanced. I'm very hesitant to say they're not balanced.
Maybe not.
But some of them feel cooler than others.
Yeah. I'm not always wanting to have asymmetrical powers. I'm sorry, I don't always want symmetrical powers. I'm okay with asymmetrical powers because that changes how you play the game. Like, my ship has this special ability, so I need to focus on doing this. Well, yours has that special ability, you need to focus on doing that. I don't know that one is more powerful than the other. I just think it changes how you play the game.
Speaking of playing the game, it is a fast game.
Yeah, very much so.
I wonder, now, Sam thinks on his turns more than I do.
True.
In other words, Sam is slower than I am, but...
I won both games that we played.
Well, I'm not arguing that, but what I'm saying is I never felt like Sam was taking forever on his turns.
Right.
I think it's maybe if someone's like, I'm thinking 7 moves ahead, I'd be like, move to another game, sir. No, but
Right.
I mean, I guess there could be this analysis process, but the game moves really quickly.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes, and you're like, I need to get this stuff delivered because the Mars tiles are almost out, and you as players kind of control that. If everyone's like rotating around one of the 2 planets, Mars or Earth, I think those will run out always before the moon stuff does.
Probably so.
Just because the moon stuff is the fewest points.
Yeah.
Because it's closer, so they're not like delivering from Mars to Earth. Just has that whole I want 6-7 points, from delivering these goods.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do want to say that you should never run out of junk. Never run yourself out of junk. You always need to make sure you have.
I don't think that's happened to me yet.
It hasn't happened to me either, but I got really close on one of the games we played, and
it slowed you down. Then
and
for
it
a while.
slowed me down a lot. I still was able to pull out the win, but I don't know how, because I was really just kind of chugging along there at a couple points.
Well, I like the concept. The game reminds me a little bit of Gravwell, that whole shoot something one direction to move you in the other. That's a neat concept, and as you move around, it's kind of, sometimes you have to sit there and go, all right, I'm curving this way, and then I go back this way. You have to kind of like think the orbits in your mind. It's fast, it scales well. Do not like the box at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit on your shelf with other boxes.
Well, I mean, it
at least you can just pull everything right out.
Yeah.
It's not a hard box to put things in. It's not like a long tube. Those are the worst.
It doesn't really bother me that much, I guess. You can set it on top of your shelves. It can be kind of a, not really a figure piece, but kind of a, almost like knick-knacky. So it doesn't really matter that much to me.
So for this one, I liked it. I thought it was fun and simple and easy. It's an easy one junk thumb up that I found from a magician shop.
One junk thumb up.
A light, fun, almost filler, but maybe more than that. It feels like a thoughtful filler, and that's kind of a cool thing. There's not many games that are this short that I feel like have this much depth. So yeah, I like it.
Cool. I'm going to give it 1.5 thumbs up just because I like how easy it plays, and I like games that do that. Doesn't take a whole lot of time to teach, but there's a lot of depth in the actual gameplay. So I'll give it 1.5 AT-AT Walker legs up.
There you go. That's Junk Orbit. I'm Tom.
I'm Sam.
We'll see you next time
On the flip side.